Hi, I'm Matt Race, and this is 3 Minute Tech. These are the videos where we answer your technical financial planning questions without all of that jargon, in simple, easy to understand language. Now today, we'll be talking about how much super should I have at my age? It's an extremely common question we get. So today, we'll be getting into the detail. So how much super should you have at your age? Well, as my dad would say, how long is a piece of string? It depends. It depends on your work status. It depends on your family situation. Have you taken a sabbatical to start a family? And equally, it depends on what type of retirement lifestyle you want to live when you get to 60 and beyond. Now, I know what you're saying, and I can almost hear the collective groan from here. You didn't click on this video to get the answer, it depends. So let's look a bit more into the detail about how much super you should have right now. So what are the average super balances at different age groups? Well, there is a report published by the Association of Super Funds of Australia in March 2022. Let's look at some of these figures. How fascinating is this slide? It shows the average balances based on different age demographics and genders. So for example, if we look at someone aged between 50 and 54, now these type of people are really starting to consider retirement. If you're a male, the average super balance you should have is 214,000. For a female, that's 157,000. Now where do you sit relative to these balances? It's an interesting thought. And something that really summarises what we're talking about today. The interesting fact when you look at these tables is not only the balances, but also to determine when these balances were derived. So this particular table by the Association of Super Funds of Australia was derived on the 30th of June 2019, so a few rather eventful years ago. So this is another really fascinating slide. In this data, it was published by Deloitte, but this is a bit more current. It's based on average balances as of the 30th of June 2021. So let's have a look. So under the Deloitte assumptions and their report, someone aged between 50 and 54 for a male should have $322,400. For a female, $210,700. So these are significant increases from what we saw in the previous study. So when we're looking at this, it's important to again understand this is more recent, but equally, Deloitte have stripped out any zero balance super funds as well. So this slightly distorts the data. So where do you sit relative to these averages? Are you above and you should get a well-deserved pat on the back? Are you sitting below and you need to focus on growing your super? Well, this is where we can help. There's a large range of different strategies that you can put in place to build your super and do it in a really tax-effective way. You can contribute to super via a tax-deductible contribution. You can salary sacrifice, you can contribute shares. There's a non-concessional cap that we've spoken about in previous sessions where you can move up to $110,000 each financial year across into superannuation. So there's a lot that can be done, and it's important to sit down and speak to your advisor. So today we've spoken a bit about what are the averages and where do you sit relative to those averages. But perhaps a more pertinent question is, how much do you need in superannuation when you get to retirement? Well, there's a few different studies here. The Association for Super Funds of Australia that we mentioned previously, they say for a comfortable retirement, a couple without a mortgage should be targeting $68,000 per annum. So how much do you need in super to meet that objective? Well, if the aim is to simply draw down on your super over time and also rely on the age pension, they recommend approximately $640,000. Where do you sit relative to that game, and are you on target to meet that? Equally, if your objective is to be self-funded entirely and to not draw down on your asset base over time, that would imply that you need in excess of $1.3 million to hit that same $68,000 target. Now, when we start talking about these large numbers, it can be a bit daunting, but it doesn't have to be. This is where you can sit down and we can build a plan for you. So in today's case study, we have Ryan. He's 40 years old and has built a fantastic business for himself. Now, he hasn't focused on superannuation as he's been focusing on building that business. Now, he's seen the average statistics and realised he might be slightly behind the 8 ball. So what he's looking at doing is building and growing his superannuation because he wants a really strong lifestyle in retirement. What he's able to do, he sits down with his advisor and maximises his tax deductible cap going into super each year. 1, it grows that superannuation balance, but 2, provides him a tax benefit personally of close to $13,000. Now, if he's able to do that year on year between age 40 and 67, by the time he retires, his super balance is over $845,000. And that's able to provide him the retirement lifestyle he is seeking as well. So what have we learnt today? Well, we know superannuation isn't one size fits all. What's right for you won't be right for your neighbour. But what's important is about building a plan with your advisor. If you have a target in mind for your retirement lifestyle, let's sit down, talk about it, and get a roadmap to get there successfully and as quick as possible.